I call the honourable member Jami-Lee Ross. Tēnā koe.
Before I begin, Mr Speaker, I wish to advise you that pursuant to Standing Order 1182, I will be splitting this call with my colleague from Coromandel, Scott Simpson, JP. Could I have a ballot 4 minutes, please?
Thank you very much for that, for informing the House.
Thank you, Mr
Split call,
Speaker.
Colleagues.
Mr Speaker, as I was sitting here listening to the speeches from the House, I was sitting there wondering whether Doreen and Rowan would be watching this debate tonight, and I assume they probably are. I was also wondering to myself whether it would be a moment that they're proud of, or whether it's a moment that they'd be quite relieved by. Because I don't think, Mr Speaker, we're talking tonight really about guardianship status. I don't think we're talking about an adoption order either. I think what we're really talking about is a family. And I picked up on some words in the speech from Porter Williams. It's about love and care, and it's about family. And I think this is what really the bill's all about. It's about recognising a family situation that has existed, regardless of what laws say, regardless of what pieces of paper say. It's about a family, and it's about recognising formally the situation which exists. And I want to congratulate Louisa Wall for bringing this bill to the House. It appears, based on the speech from Mr O'Rourke, that she's achieved unanimity in this House. Wouldn't it have been great if she could have achieved that on her other bill? That would have been a proud day for New Zealand, but not to be. But this bill she's equally done well on. So, Mr Speaker, congratulations to Louisa Wall. I note also that Porter Williams, if I can draw off your speech again, mentioned that she was adopted. I wasn't adopted myself, but I'm also someone in this House who wasn't raised in your stock standard nuclear family of your mother, father, siblings. I was raised effectively by my grandmother, and we never went through the formal route of recognising that in law, but certainly growing up, I always knew that my grandmother played the role of mother, father and everything else. And I think if we think back to it, probably formalising that situation would have been an ideal thing to have done. It's surplus to requirements for us now, but I can understand completely why Rowan would want to see this situation formalised for herself. And although the details around the bill have been discussed in quite a bit of detail tonight already, I don't want to go over them again, but I just want to say it's a very good thing that this House is doing for that family. And it is about the family. It's not about the pieces of paper. It's about recognising the family. Mr Speaker, I was interested a little bit about the mechanisms of private bills, because as someone who, I've only been here 3 years in this House, Mr Speaker, haven't actually seen many private bills come to the debating chamber. And so I was quite interested in the history of it and whether or not this was the appropriate mechanism to be used. I found it interesting. I pulled out McGee and had a bit of a read about private bills. And there's a bit of interesting information here. If you want to find out the origins of private bills, it really goes back to the time when Parliament rarely passed legislation. Nowadays, Parliament passes legislation on a very frequent basis. But back in the day when Parliament very rarely passed legislation, for individuals to seek relief for a particular matter, they had to ask the Parliament to pass a piece of private legislation. Ironically, according to McGee, if one wanted to seek a divorce prior to 1867, one had to get a private bill passed through the Parliament to get a divorce. Parliament would be exceptionally busy these days if that was still the case. Fortunately, it is not. But certainly, reading about the history of private bills, Mr Speaker, I can see that this is very much a situation where a private bill is appropriate. I just want to say, as I come to the conclusion of the few remarks that I have to make on this bill, I just want to say congratulations again to Louisa Wall, to the Select Committee as well, because they've made some good amendments to this piece of legislation. And I just want to say again congratulations to Rowan and Doreen, because I can't imagine that it would be easy to front up to the New Zealand House of Representatives to go through what I imagine would have been a lengthy process to become a promoter of the bill, to get it all going. So congratulations to them and everyone who is voting in favour of this, even New Zealand First. Congratulations.
Mr Speaker.
I call the honourable member, Scott.